this guy? Where's the mute button? Doesn't it have a mute? That's the car. That one starts the car. All right. Looks like we're in the age of the Jetsons. Well, folks, I didn't do anything yet, but now we got to go for our road trip. So get in the car. Let's see if what else goes flat. And hopefully there's not lights all over the place or anything else. So. All right. Who says you don't get something in life for free? Check it out. Here you get free stuff. Look at, they got a dumpster. And they're giving away free stuff. What do you know? And a sink. Everything and the kitchen sink. All right. Well, we finally got the thing started. That's because both of our cars are buried in the house. But we thought it might be interesting because we had to go to the store, so I'd answer a couple of questions from the internet. And one question was, would I come back to Canada and run for Prime Minister? Well, I gotta tell you, I can't, because I'm not a Canadian-born citizen. I was born right here in New Hampshire, about 35, 36 miles north of Boston, Massachusetts. And the Canadians, they had that guy Trudeau when I went there, and now they got his son. So they should have learned the first time. They didn't like the one guy, and now they're not too thrilled with this guy. So I don't know what to tell you. But no, I can't run for Prime Minister of Canada, but I can run for President of the United States. Seeing as things are looking kind of messed up there anyway, we'll see how that ends up, huh? So far, we've got a president that broke all 10 commandments, but he's a good Christian. Porno stars, Playboy models. Oh, no, that's not even the good stuff. Yeah, well, what's going to happen with him is he'll just flee to Russia because he wants to be one of those oligarchs anyways. And he'll go and Putin will put him up for a while, and he'll get his kids over there and he'll get his money. Because, I mean, that guy, he was going to run and be president, and he wasn't going to spend anyone's money. Now we're finding out he was throwing money around to all kinds of people. And it probably came up short after he paid off all the porn stars and the Playboy models. And shit, imagine how desperate they were. Come on, Donald. Bring that big pink dinky over here. Come on, Donald. Is your dink orange like your face? Anyways, enough of that politics stuff. Then another reader asked me, oh yeah, you hear the same questions year after year and this and that, and then of course if you talk to me, you talk about old time, whatever. But why did you want to become a wrestler? And I don't know. I like to watch it on TV, and then I went to the matches at the Boston Garden. My father hated it. He said they're all queers climbing all over each other. And I went to the matches, and then he parked outside. I might have been, I don't know, 8 years old. And he left me in the Boston Garden and told me to come out and meet him in the car. When it was over, because when he brought me in, he brought me a program, and he said, this woman next to me's fat and smelly, and I'm getting the hell out of here. Do you remember where we parked? I said, yeah. So, you know, it's like, I can always do things in town my own since I was like 6 years old, you know. Hell, I could make a grilled cheese. And so yeah, then I saw it live, and I was like, wow, check this out. This is cool. I mean, the Boston Garden didn't look like anything you ever saw before. It had a big net hanging above the ring, and because the people would throw all kinds of stuff down from the rafters, and it was real exciting. It was fun. Back in those days, they had, everybody wasn't a superstar. They had preliminary matches, and maybe they had the champ, and then so the champ could get out of there. And it was better to have the champ on early, because then you could sell more souvenirs, programs, and pictures, because otherwise the people would stay stuck in their seats, and at the end of the night they'd have the tag team match. So that's pretty much what wanted me to do it. And then when I went to high school, they gave me an aptitude test or something like that, and they said, well, what are you going to do when you get out of high school? So evidently I scored really high on this IQ or aptitude or whatever it was, and I said, well, I guess I'm gonna be a wrestler. And they said, well, nobody does that. I said, well, if you look on TV every Saturday, there's all kinds of guys doing that. I said, so I'll be one of them. So that's how I got into wrestling, and eventually I met Killer Kowalski, and he trained me and a few other guys from when he started his school back at the Salem Y. And back in those days, it was, they didn't tell you it was a show right away. They kind of knocked you around a little bit, twisted your neck and twisted your head, and basically tried to discourage you from wanting to do it, because they didn't want anybody that was, a candy ass, and not fully committed to it, because it wasn't like something you could sit on the fence and say, well, I'm going to be a wrestler. I mean, you see a lot of that today, but they made you put in a lot of commitment and a lot of time and effort before you even made any strides. I mean, you had to wrestle these monsters like Angelo Mosca, and I think I wrestled Kowalski 100 times in the gym. I was like the gym babyface. He beat the hell out of me. These forearms. Ah! 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 He'd be giving me these forearms. Ah! And I'd be like, oh my God, my chin. And then he'd have us line up in the gym and forearm each other. And not this slapping stuff that you see. We didn't do the slapping. We did the forearm, and we would forearm each other so hard, we would start to have blood blisters and break them open and bleed. And then he'd say, okay, that's enough. I said, shit, I thought it was enough last week, and now we got to do these things again. And he had all kinds of different training techniques for us to train with. And he was old time, man. I mean, he started speaking Carney to us before we even knew what it was. We thought he was like from another planet, and he'd talk Carney with it to somebody, one of the other old wrestlers or something, and next thing you know, you had to learn to pick it up. If you didn't learn to pick up and how to speak Carney, well, you didn't know what the hell was going on. As simple as that. They could be calling you stupid this or stupid that, and then eventually things changed. But the one thing that didn't change, or that changed for the worse, was that back then nobody was really getting hurt that much. Like today, I mean, they're torn ACLs and a lot of bad injuries today, because they're like circus performers. But when you get guys that are, I mean, they thought guys that were, some guys that were 6 feet tall were too small. And if you looked at some of these guys, especially the Polish guys, Kowalski, Johnny Valentine, Gene Kiniski, these guys were, in between 6'4" and 6'8". Baron Cicluna, Swede Hansen. And when they would, I'm just naming some people in there that I wrestled too, and when they hit you, they hit you. I mean, they clobbered you good. They weren't gonna take a chance that some young guy was gonna make them look lousy. So think of the logic. It was a lot better just to smack the kid, you know what I mean? Than it would be to, try to work with the kid. And then you test them out and see how they are, and see if they keep coming back, and they, start to show you more moves, and you'd learn lots of holds and stuff. So I probably went on a little bit. I'll probably have to cut that up into segments. But that's pretty much how it started. It was kind of an exercise in will, they wouldn't open up the world of wrestling to you until they were sure you were someone, that they could trust with the secrets of the business. Because I hear people say, guys making $10, $5 a night or something like that, even $25 a night, and he calls it the business. I'm in the business. How long you been in the business? It's not a business till you start making some money. Then it's a business. Then a match is business. That's where the term doing business came from. They'd say it about fighters. Is he open to doing business? In other words, if you drop one here or we go to a draw, we get a rematch, or is he all about, having it all his way? And for people that sit there and wonder whether wrestling had scripts, I guarantee you, I never saw one. I never saw a script, ever. And they ask if the blood was real. Well, I'm going to tell you something. I heard they use some phony blood now, but I never saw phony blood. It was always real blood, and you never want to take that lightly, because there's so many different hazards out there that can make you bleed, and so you always got to be careful in that regard. And then when the AIDS came around, when people started getting the AIDS, then you had to worry, because there were a shitload of in the wrestling business, believe me. A lot of the promoters and the people that worked for them, and some of the guys you wrestled with, well, you didn't know if you didn't dislike them or